All right, hello, my fellow hemp nuts. Are you ready for the cannabis bonanza?
Yes, we are.
Welcome to the new Hemp Time Show, recorded at Gotham Studio, the sweetest smelling podcast studio in the world. Today's episode is partially powered by McSorley's Chili Dogs, McSorley's Ale House, the oldest ale house in the United States.
Yeah.
We're also powered by the Five and Dimes Old Fashions, handcrafted by Erica, Dennis, and Caitlin, and also partially fueled by Eddie and his buddies over at the Smith. I don't remember what his friend's name is, the ponytail.
I don't know, but it's Aaron. Sorry.
Oh, Aaron? Oh.
Yeah.
We'd also
Sorry, Aaron.
We'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors.
Yes,
as
we
well.
are. Yeah. Thank you, Patreon sponsors.
So we have a fun show for you today. We'll, of course, in a minute, start off with the check-in. Then we have a word of the day. We're bringing back that segment. No, THC does that. I found some really weird things people said about CBD over the last week and want to correct that. We'll be focusing on a research article that came out about cannabis and exercise. And then we'll go on to Cannabusting, testing your knowledge, and trivia about recent cannabis news and science. And ending, I think we have one or two callers today that will be chiming in. Okay, so we are joined today with the unapologetic farmer, Randy Cameron Jr., as well as with the newly minted Dr. Jan Roberts.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, doctor. And misters.
And doctors.
Doctors and Mr. and Mr. Thank you.
And last but not least, coming back from Las Vegas, performing
Viva Las Vegas.
Greer Barnes.
All right.
Yes. I won $2,000 and they gave me a W-2 form.
2000.
They gave me $2,000. They said, how do you want it? I was like, all of it.
What were you playing?
That's how I won it.
What were you playing?
Wheel of Fortune.
Nice.
Won $2,000 and they were like, yeah, and this is yours.
Did you lose anything?
$2,000.
There you go.
Sorry.
Well,
But that's better than losing $4,000. Anyhow.
Nice.
It was fun though.
So, hey guys, it's been 2 weeks. I have missed all of you very much so. It's weird being in this new little studio. I kind of feel funky. I feel like I'm in the wrong room. But anyway,
it's a little tight.
I know. But so we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks. So what's been going on? You know, I like to kind of do my check-ins and see how everybody's doing. This Anywho, so how we are.
We good. We is good. How we are? We good. We good.
You know, my brain's not functioning.
Chicken strip, pick 'em up.
Oh my God, is that Clarence
Yeah.
again? God, I love it when you do Clarence.
That's
Clarence.
old Clarence. So we're doing good. Brooklyn Sprout had a nice 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Moving the dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Good.
Yep.
Good. How are you doing? I'm sorry, I'm a fucking therapist.
No.
How are you doing?
Mentally?
Yes,
I'm
and
sorry.
physically.
No, I'm feeling great.
Good.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I
All
feel like
right.
I'm doing push-ups and stuff. You know?
Well, you seem inspired and happy, but you're
Yeah.
always like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Upbeat, optimistic, farmer ran, expecting the crops to come up on time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And Dr. Marcoux, how are you?
Dr. J.
Doing good. I had a really interesting week. As you guys remember, I was traveling went to Kentucky to work with the horse testing labs, the U.S. Equestrian Federation testing lab. And these are for show horses. They also, have some racing horses too, because the Kentucky Derby was going on that week. And my job is to look for inconsistencies. And I found this one. It was just a consistent inconsistency. And I asked the guy, I said, why are all your technicians trained to test for cocaine? Like, this seems weird to me. Like, doesn't seem like you'd want to drug a show horse with that.
With cocaine?
Yeah, because it make them maybe jittery. They're supposed to be calm and prancing and doing very, very similar. And it turns out that it's a common contaminant because, as it was explained to me, is that, horse riding is a rich folks' endeavor. There's apparently, the handlers use it, the people who use it in the stall, and the horses just inhale it through their nose and other things like that. It gets contaminated, but it's one of the most common drugs found in horses that compete. I was really shocked to learn that. In addition to other horrible things people do, GABA patents, like steroids, all sorts of stuff.
So what were you doing there?
Well, they were actually.
I know, I've seen your mind. I'm sorry, man. Mr. Ed got
Douglas,
a damn
oh.
coke hazard. I can't believe it.
So,
Oh.
I don't. Mr. Ed, well, that's why he talks so much.
Wait, what did Mr. Ed say? When he was all cooked up?
I don't know.
Oh, that's great.
Wilbur,
I know. I was like, I couldn't remember that. I couldn't. Oh yeah, it was like.
Oh my God! Imagine how
I
much you
couldn't
could
remember
do.
the place. That's brilliant. We gotta do that.
You gotta not hold back on us when you have these thoughts. Come on, you can't do that.
Wondering what, where these horses from? Why are these horses fucking subjected to cocaine? Like, I don't get it. Like, how? I thought it was
They
something
just
maybe.
like to party hard.
Or maybe
No, I
it's
was
just,
in your
or maybe
position,
it's like a sabotage. Like this,
Oh.
let's fuck that guy's horse up, yo.
You
That's
saw it.
that's what I
You saw
thought.
So
it.
wait, so you think they're creating like a substance dependence problem in these horses?
No, but if they're a show horse and I got a show horse,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna throw some shit on your horse. All right, now your horse is
Right.
yo, what can I get some? Like, I'll jump. Like, and the other horse is like, why are you acting like that?
You're so jittery.
Why would you like jittery?
We prancing horse.
Oh my God! Oh, this is gonna be a good one today.
All right.
Oh, so wait.
That was
So
my first
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
I love that.
I was in your position, Guru. I thought the same exact thing, and I asked more questions. I couldn't get out of my head. I was there for 3 days, and every day, and every morning, I'm like, "So tell me more about these horses." But my job was to help them validate their methods, because there's controversy. If a horse fails a drug test, that's money. Some of these people make millions of dollars over the years
Yeah.
doing these horse shows.
And whenever they fail these drug tests, is it always cocaine? Like,
no, there's other stuff, but that's a common
like
one.
steroids or something?
And the lab just reports the results, and the federation makes the decision. Sometimes it's a warning, because it depends on the levels too. But I was basically there to make sure that they were getting the results they thought they were getting. So making sure that all the technicians knew how to do things, like an audit, like an assessment. Can they track records? Do they do maintenance on the equipment? Because there could be issues with, like if you're getting paid by someone who races horses and you're working at the lab, you might want to mess with results or something like that. So you really have to make sure everything is documented and done by the book. And what they're also trying to get ahead of now is THC and CBD. People are given these products to horses too, and they need to validate new methods to look for that.
Hold on, you're starting to intellectualize right now. I fucking just asked you, how are you doing today? And you have
Ran
turned
with that
it into this
motherfucker,
research. Let me just highlight my goddamn knowledge.
Well, no, that's,
Hold on, buddy.
You ain't the only guy.
I still want to know where this cocaine is coming from with these damn horses.
I
Like,
just
what
wanted,
like,
what
how?
does their 12-step meeting look
Oh
like?
my
Oh, sorry.
My name is Wilbur.
Maybe eat carrot.
Oh my God. Back to you, Jahan. I do want to know, why were you there? As far as, like, what was the goal of you being in Kentucky? Because I'm still checking in.
my goal was to finish getting my accreditation as an ISO assessor. So these are like international accreditations that different companies and organizations can get. And so I was finishing up my training to become an independent assessor with these organizations.
And did
the
you
outcome,
finish?
what happened?
Well, they're reviewing my reports. I'll find out soon. I think it's like sometimes you have to go on a couple assessments with someone supervising you to different locations, and then or sometimes they just cut you loose. So
But you need this kind of
Can we get these
accreditation.
reports or will they be redacted?
No.
if they pass,
Yeah.
they will be.
Well, we know there's no collusion
But-
with
Right.
cocaine
Part-
dealers.
part of-
Exactly.
So part of what the reason is, it's not just to do cool things like drug test horses, but all cannabis testing labs are required to get this ISO
Yeah.
accreditation to operate, and so are other sectors of the cannabis industry. These good sort of laboratory practices, good manufacturing practices, good agricultural practices, these sorts of things. So it's allowing me to do real assessments, help people get that accreditation, and things
That's
like that.
brilliant. Brilliant.
So-
Yeah.
So this is something
Hey.
that's used here in the cannabis.
Oh yeah. The lab that does all the testing
Yeah.
in New York is ISO accredited, the International Standards Organization.
You were in Kentucky, so how are you feeling emotionally today?
I miss the horses. They know how to have a good time. But no,
You get out.
Oh my God.
Get on
Anyway,
I'll check it
see you
out.
doing
Doing
little.
well. Had a fun week. Learned some new things that were
Yeah.
surprising. So
Yeah, did you miss us?
yeah, I felt weird about Wednesday evening. Didn't know what to do with myself.
I know,
Missed
I
one.
know. And what
Yeah.
about you, Mr. Barnes? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Auntie went to Vegas?
Yeah, I was in Vegas with my mother and my
Nice.
sister.
Got the crow.
My sister's crazy.
Where'd
It
they
was
hit?
fun.
How'd they do?
They did it. My mother didn't do too well. Yeah, Jermaine.
Jermaine hit it.
Yeah.
How's your mom liking stuff? Did she have?
Oh,
did you ever ask?
yeah, she's,
Has it helped or not helped?
no, it helped a lot.
I think
Yeah,
that this
yeah,
one's the
like-
magic.
That's the
That's what
magic
she said. And I
topical.
was talking to her about it. As a matter of fact, we were in my room and we were about to go run down the whole Vegas or whatever.
Mhm.
And my mom and my mother had a wrap on her foot.
Mhm.
And she left that one that you gave me
Mhm.
at home.
Right?
So we went and got another one.
Uh-huh.
And she put it on and,
It's fun.
yeah.
Oh,
But
Good
that
stuff.
one that you gave her.
What
is,
people don't understand is I had gotten a
I
sample.
can't believe it. I was
Tell
like,
me what it is
And
again.
it was hemp.
it's unbelievable.
It's hemp-based CBD salve. And it's
Yeah.
unlike anything I had ever used before. And I
She
met
swears by
the
it.
guy who is a geneticist who created this and met him at a conference in Panama. And I was having some issues because the first time I tore a toenail off my foot. And so he gave me the salve and it was incredible. And I'm a skeptic of a lot of this stuff because I've had some of them that worked better than others. And this was just, the application was great. The pain relief was really good. And then I shared it with Jahan, and he's, you're a skeptic too, and you're just like, let me see. And we both were like, holy shit. And so everyone that I've let, because I like to let people experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hemp CBD.
Yeah.
And everyone I've experienced who's experienced it is like, oh my God, that really does help. And
Joint and muscle. Makes
I'm
a
not
difference.
so much I don't know if it's the
It's
joints.
joint.
I've done mostly soft tissue kind of stuff. But I don't know. And I gave some to Greer because we had some
Yeah, so I
samples.
thought. So I think
I don't know if it's because she broke it,
Yeah.
and it's, she.
that's
But this stuff tends to kind of penetrate, I think, a little bit deeper than other products. I've
Mhm.
used. But anyway, so you had a good time in Vegas.
Mhm.
How are you doing emotionally?
I'm here. I'm doing all right.
Wait, that's not an answer.
Sure it is.
Everybody else said how they were emotionally. How are you
I'm
doing?
good.
Good.
I can't complain.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, in case you guys were wondering,
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
I know.
And Jan, how are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome, guys. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off of my shoulder, and thank you, Dr. J, for coming on Friday, and Randy for the effort and the parking mishap, but listening to it and watching it live on
on the
Facebook
phone.
Live.
That was
I
badass.
successfully defended, and now I'm a doctor. I can call myself Dr. Jan. All my hard
Badass,
work
man.
and everything went really well, and I felt so much love that day, and we went celebrating afterwards. Oh my God.
But before that, hold on.
Wait.
You got to hit on a couple of
Okay.
points from the speech because it was
Okay.
heavy. And,
It was very heavy, but
everybody
it
didn't see it.
integrated everything
Yep.
because, and a
Summed
friend
a
of
lot
mine,
stuff.
yeah, a friend of mine sent me a message and was like, I had no idea what you've been doing. I've
Damn right.
heard all these projects, didn't know how it all related. Now I understand everything that you're doing and why you're doing it, including the podcast, because part of the podcast, and I talked about it, is my goal is to really affect social policy and to highlight issues related to the economics behind cannabis, obviously the education piece and the impact on health and well-being. And I think that we're positioned in a great way to kind of spread and change the message around cannabis. And then, talked a lot about the endocannabinoid system and its relation and some of the other issues related to like Nixon
That's right.
and how research was started and how it was really negatively impacting creating biases within us and how we socially reconstructed cannabis from, from this kind of idea that we called it marijuana in the 20s and 30s because they wanted to reconstruct it as something negative and pejorative, and Mexicans called it that, so we're going to follow that. And so it was really cool. And I have to tell you, I have been to so far about 5 of these. My committee didn't ask me any questions. That was really, I was so excited. And I just felt like.
And when that happens, what does that mean? It means they can't question you.
Well,
you're
no,
hands down. Your
it was.
stuff
I
is-
just felt such love and support, and we partied like it was 1999 afterwards.
Good for you.
We had bottles of prosecco. We went bar hopping all through the East Village that day, all the way to that night, and we ended it at Mano and Mano, where I love the owner. He loves me, MJ does, and I love him. I'm in love with this guy. He's like an artist. Anyway, he always gives me roses and shit like that. So he came out and gave me like sake bombs, but soju bombs. So we were doing those all night. So Saturday I was a little slow. Saturday I stayed in. Sunday I watched Games of Thrones. I'm caught up, and that's fucking awesome. I finally watched the entire 8th season. Well, I mean the last season, yeah. But anyway, so I'm doing great.
Nice. Good. Nice.
Y'all
Congratulations.
haven't heard me talk so long. But
That's
you know,
awesome.
I'm just happy.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to Florida for a week, so I won't be here next week. I'll be on the beach.
And next week, it looks like we're going to have one of the anchors from MJ Today, one of
Yeah.
our premier podcasts, like one of the
Yeah.
most popular.
Dan's great.
Yeah, so Dan Grassroots Goldman said he'd be joining us next week to
Word.
answer some
Yeah.
questions, play our little games.
Cool. Great.
So speaking of segments, it's time for the word of the day.
Yes,
And,
the word of the day.
This one I'm not sure how to pronounce, but this is
Ooh.
That's funny face. That's what I thought too.
So here we have Shiva being poured bong or bang. It's like a cannabis kind of milky, spicy drink that's typical of India. If you don't know the cultural history, Shiva had a fight with his parents and walked out into the sun and was drained from the fight and from the hot sun, fell asleep under a leafy plant, woke up, ate the plant, felt instantly refreshed, and therefore this plant became to be known as Shivbooty or Shivbooty, which is Shiva's plant. So
I like Shivbooty.
don't Google
It
that.
does look like a big flaccid
It might be an
penis
MC.
right there.
What?
No, in fact, it's
Like I found it in an ancient, like an old research
Shiv
article.
in the booty.
Oh, what?
That's
Yeah.
what I said.
Shiv
All
in the
this
booty.
prison stuff popped up.
But
And it should. We're talking about a god.
wait. Hold on. Do you know what they do? You know how important Shiva is in this culture? I'm not kidding, but I'm telling you this.
Yeah,
I'll
break it
tell you a
down.
story about the first day of college. I'm at Loyola University in New Orleans, a Jesuit college, having to take an intro to world religions. And the professor puts on the on the slideshow, because back then we didn't have PowerPoint slide.
Mhm.
And it was basically nothing but pictures of Shiva's phallus, aka his dick.
But
And it was Shiva's penises. He is worshipped for his virility. And so it's nothing but this whole first day of my world religions class with pictures and a whole presentation about the yoni of was it Kali or whoever his wife is,
Uh-huh.
and Shiva's penis. And this is people worship them because it represents virility and strength, and she represents femininity and all this. And I just remember it was my first day of college going, damn,
Okay.
I love this.
Who is
That's
this?
Shiva.
Okay. Now,
He's
is this a
God.
dude or a chick?
That's the dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought at
It's a
first. I thought he
flaccid
had
penis.
his.
It's a big, wide, flaccid
I
penis.
would like to bring attention to the reddish eyes that are slightly rolled back.
Dude.
So just-
Yeah, he's in ecstasy.
Yeah, and the
Ah,
slightly bluish
You
color.
went and touch it.
Yeah, gone, brother.
Look at that! Look at the snake. The snake's drinking too.
Yeah, what does that
That's,
snake represent? You know
so-
what this means.
This is Parvati, one of Shiva's
Parvati,
followers,
yeah.
offering bang to Shiva.
And we talked about how that was it's bombed, isn't
Or
it?
bong, or yeah.
Because we talked about that being the etiology of the word the day bong
Really?
Mm.
before. Remember?
Yeah, we did a segment
We did
on,
that.
on the
Yeah.
orchids. But,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's consumed. Usually once a year. There are licensed government sellers of these preparations.
The drink.
The drink. Yeah.
Ah. So good. That's a good one. Shiva. I'd like Shivbooty myself. Shivbooty. Shivbooty.
Indian rapper.
Someone's probably
Shiva booty. Oh my God, I wish I had the look on your face right now.
I could have gone now.
We have young children.
All
This is
right.
what happens when we eat chili dogs before New Hip times.
Smoke a ball.
So it's time to bring back a segment called No THC Does That. And a nerd like me, who's been obsessed with research for a while, occasionally comes across things where people take something wonderful that THC does and just erase it and put in some other drugs like CBD. So I was reading an article which was called Hate Public Speaking, 300 milligrams of CBD can make the jitters go away. And for more or less, the article does a good job about talking about CBD and anxiety. But where they got it wrong is they said CBD sets off a response in the body by binding to cannabinoid receptors. Genetic mutations of these receptors may cause the body's response to vary from person to person. No, those variations of receptor, that's what THC does. It binds to those receptors and causes an effect. And it talks about how there are 9 variations of the CB1 receptor, which will change your body's response to CBD. Not true. Those mutations affect THC's activity at the receptor. So remember, it's always good to think critical about these things when people talk about stimulating cannabinoid receptors. That's what THC does. CBD does not do that. So that's my little sound up for the segment.
So are you gonna confront them with this information?
Yeah, what's the reason behind that? Because that's like kind of
Because they're just wrong across the board.
across the board.
Right, and it's buried in there. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to have our social media person. Sophie's going to create a little graphic with these corrections in there. She did it last time. We found some errors and like where it's crossed out. So
Yeah, get
Fact
them,
check.
Sophie.
I think that's a nice way. That's the modern way to do things. You send someone a meme when they've messed up, right? You don't send like a long letter outlining it. Send you a meme, let you know what's going on.
You know what?
Knock on the door.
You know what? I think that might be the best way to handle conflict. It's just you're pissed off with someone,
Right.
just create a meme.
Send a meme. All right.
I like that. Oh,
Better than a mail bomb.
really? Just kidding. So what else is going? What else then?
So coming up next, for our high science, our research focus is something that most of us are familiar with and have talked about before, and that's cannabis and exercise. So, given popular stereotypes like cannabis use associated with lack of motivation or like couch lock or things like that, sedentary lifestyle. But on the other hand, cannabis use is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency because of its potential to improve sports performance. So which is it? There's these like conflicting ideas, and the graphic is already up for no THC does that.
Yes, thank you, Sophia.
So we have these conflicting ideas about the relationship between cannabis use and physical activity, because we see it banned in sports, we see stereotypes of people being lazy to use it. So which is it, right? So in an online survey with 605 people, they looked at in full legal access. They reported engaging in more minutes of exercise per week. Something like 80% of the participants endorse using cannabis with exercise. They tend to be younger, tend to be males. Some things that interested me is that about almost 70% endorse using cannabis within 1 hour before exercise, but over 80% endorse using it within 4 hours after exercise. And only about 20% of the participants said that they did not use it within 1 hour or after 4 hours of exercise. So there seems to be this idea that this is enhancing people's ability to exercise. Like you have anti-inflammation, you have pain relief. And so this story has been making a lot of news. But I don't know if you guys have any comments on using cannabis before exercise. Your view on it in professional sports or competition,
Well, we come from an athletic neighborhood, and we come from a neighborhood where there's a lot of hot.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting time. I'll let you start.
I used to, when I did martial arts for a lot of years, I would smoke before because it would allow us to relax into the stretching.
So like 1 hour before?
I don't, a half hour. We
Okay.
we don't know. It was just like, we got class in 40 minutes, fine, let's hit, walk over there, and immediately just go into our stretches, before a 2-hour class, and it just relaxed us, allow us to move into those positions a lot easier.
And what about the? Yeah, I think there's.
And we smoked afterwards as well.
Did you get help with the recovery?
I don't know, man. I was young.
So nothing, yeah.
Already.
But I wouldn't doubt it if it does something like that. I mean, it did, like I said, it allowed us to move into these stretches. I was able to put my head to my knees at one point. Yeah.
Do you think because of the analgesic effect
Well,
of it, that it would allow you to kind of,
reduce pain, reduce
yeah, so
inflammation.
you can kind of become more flexible or something?
Definitely in the beginning to get you get the rubber bands warmed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's something.
And it's also something that you practice, rigorously as well.
Yeah,
like
but
you
I
do
was-
this, it's like 3-4 times a week. It's
Yeah, I was just talking
not
about
like one
cannabis.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a rhythm that comes out of it. If you even looking like playground ball and the cats who are playing and smack. When you were younger, you wouldn't smoke before you play ball because and you look at these older cats on the side that are doing it, and you come into age in that. And there's clearly not only a social aspect you get to that, but there's a particular rhythm that happens when a bunch of good playing pothead cats begin
Yeah.
to orchestrate on the
Yeah.
court.
Yeah.
It's a similar that's similar. I believe that I know that musicians go through in improv with that. So
That makes sense. Yeah. So
And
majority.
it makes you jump higher.
Yeah.
ask Steve.
So participants said they liked using it before or after exercise, that it enhances their enjoyment, and another half said that it increases their motivation to exercise. So that was the surprising finding for these researchers out of Colorado, is that people actually reported being more motivated to go run around, which is not something you'd think you would.
But it does.
Yeah, that's because of the
The stereotype.
Yeah, the stereotype that's been placed on marijuana, like you smoke
Right.
and just nod out.
And if you want to,
And if you want to smoke and nod out, that's your fucking that's your
right.
prerogative.
Well, okay, so see, I actually kind of have an issue with that one. I mean, I think
What? Which
smoking and nodding out.
Some people may
Okay.
want to do that.
No,
You know what I
but
mean?
if you're doing that all the time, and
Yeah.
then you're not kind of living your best life.
Yeah.
I got that.
So that's where, look,
And
I'm
that
just
needs
a
to be
friggin'
identified.
therapist. That
And
there are times when I want to just smoke, chill out, and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then if
And there are times when we do that.
yeah, absolutely, and times, but I just want to make sure, from my perspective as a therapist, that people don't think that's what I do all the time. Stuff that you,
Well, that's
you
the
have to have
thing,
a
too,
balance with it. Yeah.
And you said motivation, which is the key word in that thing. And when you
Absolutely.
begin to understand your medicine and you understand the motivation factor that you come from that,
Absolutely.
use it for productivity,
Absolutely.
exercise,
Absolutely.
work,
Yeah.
and that's the
Absolutely.
lesson in that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Agreed. I'd like to see. I think a follow-up to the study would be interesting to see. Athletes who play consistently longer, say competing. Do they have a tendency to use cannabis, and how do they use it? Is it for recovery, or is it for help with the training? I think that this.
We should have asked that question in our survey. I didn't even think of that. Did you guys know that we're doing a survey with professional athletes?
Well, we can
No,
get
seriously.
some access.
We have, well,
No, really.
really, I can give you the link
Really?
because it's
Yeah.
specifically for professional athletes from NFL, NHL, NBA, just any kind of professional, sport that they did. That we're working with Athletes for Care to do a cannabis survey and looking at hockey players.
Football players.
Any kind of professional player to see how they've used cannabis, and
Mhm.
we're even asking questions about quality of life, sex, sleep. We're asking about family relational kind of issues, mood issues,
Mhm.
also pain, medication usage, to see if there's a potential impact there. If cannabis actually can kind of help develop other medications. So it was kind of a very early kind of pilot project that we're doing, that we're hoping it can kind of lead us to look at other facets within this community too. Because we've got to look at, it's ridiculous. People are they're not allowed to use cannabis, but yet they're allowed to take
Right.
muscle relaxers all
Right.
the time,
Yeah.
or opioids and stuff like that. And we know that there are protective factors physiologically and that can actually help these athletes.
Right.
So I just hope that this allows us to kind of have a platform to have a different conversation as far as policy and special happening.
Great point. Great point. And we've had two friends in the NBA league that dealt with the alcohol issues and the cannabis issues. And interestingly enough, the one that had the alcohol issues is forever having to deal with that issue. And the person who, the cannabis, it now has a thriving company.
Yep.
Ex-NBA player that's killing it right now.
Well, I'll
God
send
bless.
you the link because we're looking at it to be any professional athlete.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah. That's good.
It's good stuff that Jay Hahn and I are doing with the Institute.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you guys are warmed up. Are you ready for a little cannabusting?
Who are you gonna call?
When you hear strange things about marijuana, who are you gonna call?
Cannabusters. We need to have you do that professionally.
Oh,
We can use your rap, your rap for tease. Grayson can
flip a track.
do the track for you, produce it.
Do it.
All right.
So starting us off with our stories about cannabusting, finding or fiction. Our first 3 stories come from general news, and then we have 2 or 3 science ones for you guys. But so I want to know if you guys think this is something that really happened. Is this a true short story I'm going to read you, or is this complete fiction? So one of the big stories this week was it world's longest serving marijuana prisoner finally freed after spending nearly 40 years behind bars. Antonio Basaro, 84, the world's longest marijuana prisoner, was finally released from federal lockup May 1st. He has an interesting career. He attended medical school in Cuba, quit to join the Navy, became a pilot, was then hired by the CIA to help overthrow Castro and fought in the Bay of Pigs. After the failed invasion, he started smuggling drugs into Florida using his CIA training and has now been released from prison. So is this a true story about a marijuana smuggler, or did I just make this up while watching Roadhouse last night?
No, that's true.
Oh man, it sounds far-fetched. It really sounds far-fetched.
It's true.
Well, okay, well, we got someone speaking up already. Andy, you're saying it's true.
Did you say Andy?
Randy. Did I say Andy? Oh,
Yeah,
well,
that's a twin brother.
I was looking at my notes about Antonio here. Well, you say it's believable. So the world's one of the most notorious marijuana smugglers has been released, was successful for a long time because of his CIA training.
I think I've either seen this on one of those Vice shows about smuggling narcotics, but I think it's true.
Well, he might be a real person, but what if I said that he has a compulsory appointment with ICE on June 11th? Would that change your mind?
Oh my God.
Well, Greer, what do you think?
It sounds really far-fetched, but I could see something like that, and it's only because I don't think they would keep him in jail that long because of marijuana. I think they would keep him in jail that long because that knowledge he has that he learned from the CIA. He's more of a threat to the country, I guess, because of his knowledge, not because he was caught with 2 tons or whatever. 600,000 pounds.
So yes.
A lot of trips.
Yeah.
So
from here to Cuba to Florida. Nice little run right there.
How much is that?
Hey.
I like this dude.
Yeah, what's his name? Julio.
Wait, can I say what I think?
Go.
Jahan, I know you have this affinity for Patrick Swayze, so I'm sure you were watching.
Oh my God.
So I believe you made that shit up.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the reasons why his sentence was so long is he refused to rap on any of the people he was working with. So this is indeed a true story. And it's amazing. Former CIA operative who just wanted to be a pilot, ended up in the Bay of Pigs. And then after that failed, didn't have much to do, sought asylum in Guatemala, and then realized he had a skill set that was extremely valuable.
Jeez.
So that
What was his name?
Antonio Bassaro, and he walked out of prison at 84, which is incredible. Like,
Wow.
good genes or something.
Yeah, also federal prison. Yeah, that's where that dude Michael Cohen going. He's gonna play tennis and shit. Yeah.
He's gonna take yoga.
You ain't gonna get no shit
He's
booty.
taking yoga.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's taking it.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
what I was
It's
saying. Yeah.
Second day of
So it's not so bad here. Look how light it is.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'll take the top one.
Oh my
All right.
God. Can
All
you
right.
imagine if Greer actually joined us from McSorley's? So we would be today.
Those are good.
Those are good friggin' hot chili dogs. Do we have bad breath? We had onions and sauerkraut.
Yeah, smell that.
All right, guys. All right, so
I'm
next,
sorry.
with all our travel, I wanted to find or make up a story about TSA. So there's been a lot of talk, and I want to know if what I'm talking about is this something I made up while watching Roadhouse, or which I really watched last night while I was working on the show notes, and
You did really watch.
yeah, for the first time I'd never
I
seen it
told you
before.
we had that.
He was
Um,
watching
Patrick
Dirty
Swayze.
Dancing. That's the one I
Yeah.
asked him.
Well, he didn't want to put baby in the corner.
Oh.
He didn't.
Okay. All right. So, what would TSA do if you got caught with marijuana? In a recent post online, TSA on Instagram said, "Are we cool? We'd like to think we're cool. We want you to have a pleasant experience at the airport and arrive safely at your destination. But getting caught while trying to fly with marijuana or cannabis-infused products can really harsh your mellow." The post continues, "Let us be blunt. TSA officers do not search for marijuana or other illegal drugs. Our screening procedures are focused on security and detecting potential threats. But in the event of a substance appears to be marijuana or a cannabis-infused product, we're required by federal law to notify law enforcement. This includes items that are used for medicinal purposes." So, is the story here that TSA is not trained to look for marijuana, so you better hide it? Did they really post this on their social media? What do you guys think?
I'm going to say yes, only because our sound engineer, Ty Miles, is saying
Yeah,
yes.
he just
But-
went like this.
I know. But I have
Time
to tell
out?
you.
No,
wait,
true.
True.
Oh.
It's not true, guys. I don't want you to fail this question.
I thought he
He's
was
doing
like, I
everything.
gotta call somebody as an airport security.
Don't screw this up. My father works for the TSA.
Thank you, Miles. But wait, guys, seriously, I have special ways that I hide stuff, and so I've had my bag checked, and they didn't take any of it out, but it was in a legal state. So if I'm assuming the legal state's probably very yeah, okay, of course,
Okay.
yeah, I got the
Yeah.
call. Talk to you next time, buddy. You know. And so they left it all in there. And
They
it was-
left it in there.
and they
last
even
week-
put the card that said your bag
Yeah, your
was
bag
checked.
was checked. Yeah, I got
So
that.
I-
They took half of my
They
shit.
took half.
They have only half though.
Yeah, but I had 3 different strains and 2 of each one of those strains. So I had 6 bottles, and they
West to
took
east.
going from
West to east.
west to east. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was me too.
But last week,
And they left me the shit talking about, yeah, we checked your bag. Like that's why I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and you took out? Why did you take all
It's
of
a
it? Like,
tax.
Weird.
and this
It
was
was
also
Clarence
this
who
was
was
also at the time when
you smart ass, I'm the one that searched your bag.
when the government was shut down. That's when this
Oh.
took place. Yeah.
Well,
Someone needed
Oh.
some money.
That's
Yeah.
why they took
They
it
were
because
like, yeah,
they
we're gonna
needed
take half
Yeah,
this shit.
Clarence was the only one on
they were taking their
I'm
check.
going to work. I don't give a damn about no shutdown. I need some money.
I need some money. Oh my god.
You searched your
I
bag.
love it when you do. I wish people could see this because Randy, whenever you do that clearance, you get this look in your face,
Yeah.
and you do this like old man kind of smacking
That's
thing.
what it
It's
is.
the funniest thing. Oh my god! I feel like Clarence is my grandfather because that's the way my grandfather. You know, well, you know.
All right, but last
Anyway,
week,
sorry.
one of the Brooklyn Nets got busted. I'm not going to name who it was, but he was using one of these cans
Yeah.
They have a story, and it's kind of a
He's
play.
a jackass. He's an idiot.
When did those go out?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're very effective.
No, they're not.
And you go through.
Just use a tongue.
And right, so the compartment on the bottom, he got busted, and
What the government needs to do is turn a blind eye to this minor shit and pay attention to something that's real. Who gives a shit if some dude smokes marijuana?
Right.
But the question-
seriously, it's
but
too
the
much.
question
It's a
is-
waste of time.
is TSA trained, and
They're
I
not.
you don't think they're
I
trained.
mean,
All right. So first point, we're establishing that TSA is not trained.
they're
Right,
not trained.
they're
Not trained.
No,
They're
not
looking
trained.
for bombs.
Jan,
Yeah.
not
They're
trained.
not trained.
All right, but would they post
Are they
on
dogs
social
trained?
media like about how cool they are and making jokes about cannabis? That TSA engage
Yes.
the public
Well,
about
Would they
Miles
do
said
that?
yes, so I'm saying
I would
Yes.
say yeah.
because Miles is like the
And I think they
sales
are
engineer.
trained.
Oh, not, wait a minute.
there
Now
is.
he's like, I don't know.
The
I
first
think they
part,
are
the first
trained.
part.
It's
They're
all
like,
really
okay.
not
his fault.
skilled, because if the dog can tell the difference between a liquid bomb and some Shiva, doesn't the guy who owns the dog have to have a certain level of,
Well,
why
here's
is
the
he
other thing.
squatting there?
It's
Why-
about that person looking at your luggage going through that thing as well,
Yeah.
and whether he can detect or whatever. So you know what I mean? That's why they have all of this, and that's why they have the wiping of your hand things and putting it in and checking for special chemicals and stuff.
yeah.
Now that dude, what you talking about, the ball player, he had a giant
Arizona can
yeah.
of liquid, which you're not supposed
Supposed
to
to
bring
bring
that
on
much.
the plane. So it's
What
like-
a stupid
just
Yeah,
a
man.
jackass dummy. He yelled
Right,
at
right.
They'll never find it in this 32 ounces of
Oh,
liquid.
yeah.
yeah, of fruit
Oh,
juice.
My
Yeah.
God.
Right, you.
Dumb.
Diabetes
That-
in a can.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Mr. Jim Moss.
175 ounces.
Yeah, as long as it's Arizona can.
It reminds me of an old saying. It's like only break one rule at a time. Like if you're gonna smoke weed, don't put it on something you're not supposed to bring on an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God.
for real. Because the compartment probably
Yeah.
got him in
Yeah.
much trouble as.
Of course. Like, what are you
What are you
smuggling
trying
in
to
here?
put
That
that
is
damn
smuggling,
thing?
jackass. Put it in your luggage and put it under the fucking plane, moron.
So
There you go. Put it in your butt, fool.
Shivbooty, man.
Shivbooty.
Yeah.
so
Try that.
So what happens when you get caught, unless you're famous or they have it out for you, or depending on the amount, usually it just goes into an amnesty barrel, it gets thrown away,
Yep.
things like
Yeah.
that.
And
Gets-
you know what that amnesty is, right? That's where all the TSA workers go to at the end of the night to take their shit.
Exactly.
I've always wanted this perfume.
Sweet
Yeah,
20 layers.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So it's still risky to fly with it, but things are changing. But the chances of, there are tips from different websites, like the Fresh Toast posted this true story about TSA posting these things on social media. But, I guess what they're kind of saying in the article is, if you're going to bring it, hide it. Don't have it out in the open. Don't do something silly like try to go overboard and conceal it in secret compartments.
Yeah.
But it's, there is, so I don't know what the
Put it
best
in your
way-
pants pocket. Fold your pants and put other pants and shirts and boots and shit on top of it.
Yep, and put your dirty underwear on top of all
There
of
you
that.
go.
They
They
really don't want to
really
touch
don't
it.
want no dude staying
Yeah.
close.
They don't.
Yeah. That'll stop it. That shit'll stop a bullet.
I did that when we were in
Yeah.
Well, you can do it.
Yeah.
South America or
Maybe
Central
I'll teach you.
America, and I had a backpack,
There
and
you
they were
go.
notorious at the borders of going
Right.
through the gringos stuff and
Right.
like stealing their stuff. So I just put dirty underwear
Yep,
on top.
Right on top.
There you
And
go.
boy, they
Yeah.
didn't want that.
You ain't want that close.
Next.
They would have loved it if it was Japan. Oh, I don't want to eat it.
Oh my God.
They love that shit.
They do. They got fucking vending machines of like fucking underwear.
What?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
in
true.
Japan, man.
You get anything in a vending machine.
Yeah, they got like women take their
Use-
underwear off.
use-
Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
woman take her
wait.
underwear off after working all day long. She goes and she puts it in a
You
vending
mean I can
machine. She
make
probably
money
gets,
like that?
if you were in Japan.
You still need a good
Oh,
one.
oh my
A lot more if it's used.
God. That is
Brilliant.
crazy.
10 million yen for your pennies.
Oh my
God.
God, that's nuts.
No, right, hold on a minute. You want to piss in them?
Oh my God.
I'll double stuff it for you.
Oh, God.
All right.
No, don't be sorry.
Wow, that's crazy. It's a little scary.
It's creep, yo.
That's
Creep.
great. You wouldn't do that no.
No,
Any of those types of luxury items simply aren't available.
Yeah.
hilarious.
Anywho.
Okay. So,
Next.
our next story.
I'm just saying, we might be able to make some serious money over that shit, yo. We got like an import-export of American drawers.
Oh,
my God.
with this diet,
How big do you like your pennies?
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't know.
I guess if you've actually been to Japan and purchased them, maybe not.
Yeah, I couldn't. That's just what I need. Somebody see me protect.
Wait for the career.
Yeah, there's a picture.
Yeah.
Dear
Yeah.
Twitter.
Back on tour with Louis.
Yes. Yes. Boom.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, McSorley's really, they are powering us today.
All right.
And we said, I'm just impressed we haven't had to get
I
beat
know.
like we thought
I
we were going to.
How do we do that? Raising it? Okay.
You grab one of those motorcycles.
You look like a little,
You say that's your ass.
excuse me, you're all fat. Oh my God. Did you see he looked like a little kid? Like, no, seriously, I really do have to go pee
If
right
you
now.
if
Can I
you would
leave?
picked up the red one, it'd be too late.
There you go. There you go.
That's danger zone right
We
there.
know which
Yellow.
the yellow one
Caution,
signifies.
New studio.
We'll never get
Right.
invited back here again.
All right. Our last
I hope people
science and news story.
Mm-mm.
So is this a finding? Is this a complete fiction? Grandmother arrested for having CBD oil at Disney World. Was a 69-year-old woman booked in Orange County Jail in possession of hash after it was found in her purse at Disney World. She reportedly had the oil because her doctor said it would help her arthritis. Was arrested, held in jail for 12 hours before being put out on bond of $2,000. Was this a day at Disney World gone wrong, or did I just make up this sad story?
I'm gonna say that's true because of the simple fact that it's Florida.
Yep.
Yep.
And if it's not true, it's something like that could happen
It's Florida.
in Florida.
Yeah, and it was Goofy who
Oh,
pulled that old
guys.
woman off.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
said
it was
Orange
goofy. Yeah, it was
County.
goofy.
He said Orange County.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
slip up.
Is there an Orange
That's-
County in Florida?
No,
They grow oranges there,
probably
right?
is.
But
Wait
you
a
said
second.
Orange County, and that's California.
Well, there's a
And-
Hollywood, Florida, so
Yeah, but no. But that's
Where
Disneyland.
Disneyland
That's
is
not
in
Disney
Anaheim,
World. Yeah.
California.
So that's
I'm
not
just
Orange
talking about
County.
the
So
name,
he
yeah,
just, or
but-
is it an Orange County? Oh my God.
That's what the
There's also a Brooklyn, Idaho.
yeah, Paris, Texas.
Okay. All right. So Disney World. Are we talking
You
about
fact
Florida?
checking me?
Reset.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yes, I
get
am.
it, Chad.
Sorry.
He called me
County.
Quick enough.
This is why radio trivia shows are dying.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's in Orange County, Florida.
yeah. Yeah.
Orlando.
So we've established that I know geography.
Yes, and Jan doesn't.
No, that's true.
So it's a true story. It's
True
it's
story.
goofy enough. to happen.
Goofy and
Oh.
Goofy did it.
Yeah.
Walking around as the undercover
Fucking grumpy people.
cop. Was she
Well,
smoking?
It
No.
was a
So
fake?
this is a true story,
Oh.
but her charges were dropped. But her experience raises the question why CBD oil is on store shelves in Florida, but is a felony to possess. So,
So
Yeah,
even-
How did they know she? I mean, what was she
Even-
doing?
Yeah,
so
like
she was going through a security checkpoint
Uh-huh.
at Disney World. And
Uh-huh.
that's when searching bags, and they found a container that had basically CBD oil that seemed to.
but like what, like a pen or something? Like
It,
I mean, I doubt it if she had it in something like this or
Yeah, she
a
would've
device. What like what did what?
Like a tincture?
it doesn't say, but it seems to make it clear.
She drops, right?
She was charged with a felony. So she had possessed less than 19 grams. So she was charged with a felony, but if she had possessed less than 19 grams of leaf marijuana, she would have been charged with a misdemeanor. So having the oil has created some complications. But there is going to be the farm bill that's going to legalize a lot of these products, SB 1020,
Great.
which will establish Florida's hemp program, but the bill's not in effect. But it doesn't really say what type of product she has. It sounds like it was a CBD extract or oil that she was taking. Could have been a vape pen. It could have been something she was using in like a pipe or something like that. But again, she would
And
have
it was hemp CBD.
But imagine if she had had almost an
Or it doesn't
ounce
matter,
of
still
flour,
CBD.
she would have been
CBD.
fine.
She would have been
19
all right.
grams. I mean, it's a bit shy. It's of an ounce, but
Security would have let her go.
it would have been a misdemeanor.
It would have been missed.
But apparently, the extract
Jesus Christ.
is the thing that.
And she had her grandkids with her. Can you believe that?
And that person who did that, who pointed her out, he or she is a jackass. That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Some of that shit you let go by. Where's the threat? Waste of time.
The
And
kids are calling mom, grandma just got locked up.
Yeah.
The irony is that you're trained at a higher level than the TSA is. Trained.
Nah, they all train.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean? They got some training.
So just because you get it on the plane to Disney World doesn't
Mean you can take it into
They
the park.
probably are really hard skills to protect that.
They keep you rolling up money. What's your problem?
Spread them.
Well,
Spread it.
Ooh, boy.
Oh boy.
yeah, then
And Minnie. I wish you, yeah. Oh my God. And Donald. I wish I could do a duck.
Oh my
I
God.
can't imagine this is good as
Against the wall.
Spread them down. God, I sound like Michael Jackson, not Mickey. Sorry.
I wonder if Disneyland or Disney World has its own like internal court system. Where, like, if you like litter or you jaywalk there and
Well,
you
you
have
know
to go.
stadiums do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I bet Disney would.
That must be
Yeah.
frightening.
Disney World is a country of its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have the Judge Judy of the Disney court system.
Put her in the court.
I want the robot Abe Lincoln to represent.
Oh my God. God.
All right.
So-
Time out. Sorry.
We'll take a short break to
Yes.
talk about our sponsors.
Yes, we're going to talk about our sponsors. Yeah. Are we going to pause it now?
Well, we would like to thank all of our supporters on Patreon, including Albert, who's continued to support us month to month. Thank you so much. We have also reached some significant numbers of some of our YouTube clips.
Yes,
We have, so we did a THC after death segment about high science, why these roadside sobriety tests and accidents show these really super high levels of THC. It's because even if you haven't smoked in a month, if you were in an accident and got injured, all the residual THC in the fat would just get into the bloodstream. And so those numbers are not reliable for looking at recent use. That clip is that, last time we checked, it was about 1,500 views, just that clip on our YouTube, which is one of our most popular segments right now. And we have listenership who watch and download the show across the world. We have listeners actually in Russia, in South America, even in China. A lot of them, majorities from the U.S., but we got some people from Finland and Holland listening to us too. It was really amazing.
Wow.
We got this report back about our reach. And it's really kind of exciting.
It's kind of freaky though to think that we've in just a few months, just from a conversation that we all have had, that we kind of decided to do
And
that.
I'm always wondering, like, how did the guy in Holland find us? Because we know it's like,
Yeah, and what interested her?
Uh-huh.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was it? Like, seriously, like, wow, why this podcast? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
So it's kind of exciting
Yeah,
to
it
see
is.
where this is. You missed our business meeting today. We had mixed words. I love mixed words. Anywho, and sounds like we're kind of headed in some fun directions. So. Let's pause right now.
taking a short break.
Taking a short break. We'll be right back.
How does that affect the recording? Is it just gonna
I'm just gonna mute it,
okay?
and then so you'll still be on camera, so don't be like doing weird stuff. but no, like the audio is cut right now, so yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I probably should go pee since we're taking a bathroom break. We have another mean, how much longer are we gonna go?
Where do we go, from 2 to 4? I mean, from 4 to...
We usually go. We could finish a
I'm
little
gonna head out.
early.
We paused.
Oh, cool.
So, I'm
Because
gonna
I
go back.
got fucking lost that quick. I'm like,
No.
I got mad at myself. So I walked around this motherfucking ground. Yeah, I was like, I hope they don't see
Should I
me.
share my location
Yeah,
with you
sure.
so you can find me at all times?
I walked right past it and I got guilt. I hope they don't see me.
It's Jesus. Welcome back. Do we still have like? Is your buddy
Alright.
calling in? Or, you know?
Should I have,
Well, we could do like
Let's see.
we could do 2 or 3 more science stories, and then
he wanted to ask about the vaping in the theater. Is that the question you want to do?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that a
that's-
cool one?
No, because it's like the contact.
That's
I
what I
think
thought.
that's a great subject.
Because he just got,
Um,
that's a guy.
don't want to give any spoilers. But
He said what?
Guy-
Vaping in the theater?
Yeah, he
No,
was.
tell him the
man,
story.
no.
That's like
No,
being-
dude.
being-
Like, you
being
how old are you?
fucking- I know.
Come
So,
on,
but
man.
it was like he got asked to stop because they thought people around him could get high. So-
Well, the
Which
point
you, right, be courteous.
but that's the point.
But, and yeah, fasting that is.
We did a story about that, about the cops test positive for weed after doing the concert.
The concert thing.
And they're like their policy was, well, if you don't like weed, you shouldn't be policing those events.
If you don't get high off, fair enough, but I'll take that,
Just so they know on the
Oh,
Facebook.
oh, cool.
So on Facebook they're like,
Thank
oh,
you.
break time. You know. Good. You know what I just learned recently is that if you smoke and then, or if you eat it, like consume it, and then you drink, it like heightens it like crazy.
Drink what?
alcohol.
Yeah, like drink alcohol, like beer or even anything. Yeah, like it heightens your high like a lot quicker.
No,
But I found that out recently, and I was like, whoa. And I looked it up, and it's like a real thing because it like it goes to your stream quicker or something. Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty intense. I went to a concert on the weekend, and I was like, I drank like 1 beer and had like 1 weed treat, and I was just like zoomed.
what kind of tree was it?
It was like one of those like 10 milligram ones.
Was it
And,
10?
yeah, it was like really, it wasn't that much. It wouldn't have been like a lot for me, but for some reason I drank like 1 beer on it. I was just like zooming. So it was weird, but crazy.
Yeah, so fathead is like yeah. Sorry. You just know how he gasses.
Oh, dude. Bullshit ass silly.
Bullshit ass too. Snake oil.
And they'll do it to us.
And to us,
We take this out of your and put it in
Right.
But
your
did you
Right.
see my? Did you guys see my thing?
right there.
Help yourselves too.
Oh, we
Anyone want any pistachios?
My mom.
what is that? I'll take a shot of juice.
I was gonna say for the pistachios.
What are those low sodiums?
They're lightly salted. Got them on sale.
So I swear it works. Get you pumpkin seeds cap.
What do you do with them?
It's anti-inflammatory now.
What are you talking about?
Really?
On the prostate, and I noticed in like a week. I can't believe it till now. I'm like, this is.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have
You're back on.
Ready.
a
We're good.
roulette egg.
All right, we're back with all the science that's new and improved on the Gotham Studios New Headlines podcast, the sweetest smelling podcast studio in the world.
Yes.
So we're gonna do a little bit of science, finding or fictions, and then we're gonna go to the caller. So I just have 3 short things that I want you guys to suss out and let me know, is this just science fiction or is this a real research finding? So our first one is, patients with multiple sclerosis taking cannabis were able to reduce the intake of opioids and benzodiazepines. So we hear a lot of research about cannabis helping with general use of opiates and opioids. Is this true? Did researchers study patients diagnosed with multiple sclerosis that were using cannabis and said that they noted improvements in sleep, pain, spasticity, and they were able to decrease the use of opioids, benzodiazepines? Is this real research or is this wishful thinking?
Real research.
Yeah, okay, we got one vote for it.
I'm gonna say it's real research.
The three medicines just threw it off for me, so
Yeah.
I think the last two medicines may be used in multiple sclerosis, but I'm not sure about treatment. So I think.
Okay. All right. So, right, because, and it's fair, because the research is all over the place. You don't
Yep.
see a consistent decline associated with cannabis. New Jersey, opioid abuse and
Right.
mortality is like going up despite having a cannabis program, but other states, it's not.
Right.
So we do have this mixture of factors that affect it. But yeah, but the question is did they, it's not just opioids we're talking about, benzodiazepines, stimulants, other medications these patients take.
That sounds like one of them dad's articles.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, dude, that's what that should sound like.
There you go, the drugs and alcohol.
Yes,
dependence.
man,
Oh,
like-
Dad.
So,
I love that
That's
you
what it
know
sounds like.
You
Like,
see
I'm like,
what you've learned? You know
he's
about
done
the
this
Quad
before, dude.
article.
Hold up, yo.
It's mixed.
he's read
Yeah.
my book.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
So this is a true study, but published in Neurology.
okay,
Not
all right.
Dad.
But it's,
Alright.
but it's a very close journal to that. It should belong in the Dad Journal, given its content. But yes, this was actually done at the Neurologic Institute in New York at Amherst. They published their study results in the Journal of Neurology, showing again, 70% of the patients reported alleviation of pain, 40% spasticity, 40% sleep, which is surprising considering they're also stopping to use other drugs.
Which brings me to the point of my mom with that cream and her friend who I bought a pen back for. Because that's what she's saying, that it takes away all of her pain.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what triggered that thought. And then also the fact that you dropped some of the gems before. It's like, hold up,
Why
why
are
are they
they-
true? It's like, yeah, it is.
Why are they
It's
treating
that.
multiple
Dad
sclerosis with opiates?
Opioids.
I don't get that.
The
part.
pain, away the pain.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
But it's
I
so
didn't know that it
it's-
would cause such pain.
Me
Because
neither. I just thought they
I've
shake
always
and,
had,
yeah,
like, my friends who had issues, pain was never their issue.
Right.
But maybe
They
what
they
had
spaz,
progressed,
didn't they have
the
spasms?
spasms, and they would
and,
have
um,
episodes. And
Right,
stuff like that.
episodes like that, but I didn't see it as.
What was interesting, last other statistics, is that the patients in the study had a low rate of discontinuation, so if they stopped using cannabis, only about 14% of the people involved just like, hey, this isn't for me, this isn't working. And the reason they stopped was most frequently due to cost. Because again, it's not
Wow.
covered by insurance.
What? Wait.
Wow.
Due to cost of what? Marijuana?
Cannabis, yeah.
that was one of the
Of course.
main
So what?
reasons.
They're paying some astronomical price for
Well, yeah, think
cannabis.
about it.
It was a
Yeah.
research study. These are people who are
It's not covered, but why pay
But
for
the-
that when you can get a $30, like, 30-day prescription of an opioid? You know what I mean? Like, because people have to pay out of pocket for cannabis. If they're in a state that doesn't allow them to grow their own medicine, they have to get it from the dispensary. And the state, a lot of states don't let you do that. So it's actually cheaper for a lot of people, especially the elderly, to purchase a generic of something than to use cannabis. Does that make
I
sense?
ju-
It's
I-
an
Which
access
makes me
issue.
think about that other thing you were speaking about, like the black market of
Yeah.
cannabis.
What
That's because people have to say, man, fuck you, government, on this with the opioid shit. Doesn't work. Marijuana being fucking transported from state to state. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know, building some sort of coalition where people can get access to this stuff who need it. Like,
it really worries me. So, like, we've
I don't
had
know.
it in our
It's
practice,
crazy.
seriously, we've had it in our practice where I've had Medicaid patients who are coming in to get treatment and they can get their medication from a pharmacy, but can't get their cannabis from a medical dispensary paid for.
Power of
And so they,
special
and the only thing, and this is where it just really pissed me off with this one dispensary, and I won't say its name, but the only thing they would do would be to take 10% off of what it would cost the patient.
Right.
That's nothing. If you're paying $60, that's only $6. They're paying, so they're having to pay out of pocket a tremendous amount of money when they can use their insurance benefits and get it filled.
Right.
And that's until we address that issue. And I had this conversation with someone quite yesterday, Jayhan. We were talking about this with our consultant, that I don't think that insurance industries are really ready for this. Cannabis growers think that they are, but I just knowing how insurances work, they don't want to pay if they don't have to pay. It's probably cheaper for them to get, to pay for
Insurance companies don't give a shit about it.
Right, they don't give a shit about anybody.
All they want is that money every month.
They want to
on
pay their
time,
dividends to their
and
stockholders.
to help the
Yes.
rest of us.
Well, and we have some dispensaries, not all, but some dispensaries who are like that too, who are seeing Medicaid patients, but they're still only
Well,
going to
that's
take
where I
off
was gonna-
10%. That
Exactly.
just
Maybe we
pisses
need to
me
build
off.
something like that.
Well, then,
You know?
what? I have a perfect trivia question for you guys.
Ah, I
So
love
this
this.
is not so much a story as a trivia question.
Mhm.
We know that CBD in the form of Epidiolex is a Schedule 5 drug by prescription for epilepsy. It's a CBD purified compound from the cannabis plant. What if I was to tell you that the cost per year to a patient for this drug averages at $32,000 a year? Would you believe it?
What is this?
This is a pharmaceutical derivative of cannabis that is prescribed, but the out of cost to patients per year being over $30,000 on average for purified CBD in a pharmaceutical form that's legal.
Yeah.
COVID, there's,
I abstain.
do you think that
Yeah,
a
you know.
Pharmaceutical form. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's
a little disturbing. Pharmaceutical form, like, all right, is it a derivative of, or is it
that's
It's
a
not
great
a
question.
synthetic? Is it
No, you
synthetic?
didn't say
It's
that.
purified
It's
from
purified
the
from the
plant,
plant.
but
So
it's too
it's
many.
the cannabis version of Keppra, right?
It's
Keppra is
okay.
used for epilepsy, so like, now we're going into the cost.
I can see it costing that amount
I
because
can
it's a
too.
greed factor, man. They're not trying to. I mean,
So, but this
Is it-
this is a cannabis, basically it's a cannabis pharmaceutical.
Yep.
Covered by copays, but
Yep.
still costs a lot.
32,000 a year.
So
Yep.
if
True.
it were true, yeah.
Well, it is true. This
It
is
is
actually
true.
true research. Epidiolex is
Epidiolex.
CBD, basically for epilepsy. They have soared in the patient numbers, not like 7,000 to 9,000 patients are being reported. GW has made reports millions in profits. The pharmaceutical companies said that
Of course they've made millions
Well,
of
they're the-
profits. Look what they've done.
they're the
They're
only
charging
game
that
in town.
much money, to help people.
Yeah.
That disturbs me
And I think-
so much when I think about
And
this.
what you guys are talking about really kind of brought that up, because I think that this is going to be an issue that the industry is going to have to face, and also with the waste from all the plastic packaging. Also, how much this is costing patients per year when it's not covered by insurance, or only even partially covered by insurance. It's like a
And then to
full-time
have,
job
and
for
then to have
some
these
people.
states where they won't even allow you to grow your own. I mean, give me a break. That's a perfect solution to some of these issues, is to allow people to grow their own medicines.
That's why Massachusetts
But
is
then
a
they're
bummer.
they're shooting the patients in the foot by not allowing it this. Do I go to a drug that is going to be covered by my insurance, or do I pay thousands of dollars out of pocket every month to be able to get my medical cannabis, which is actually a little bit better for me than this opioid,
Right.
or this muscle relaxer or benzodiazepine, or can I grow my own? You know
Well, let me
what?
tell you
And we
about the
know
grow
that
my own
gardening
one.
Yeah.
makes you feel better.
It's
It's
100%
very good.
does.
It's therapeutic
Yes,
for people to do
yes.
this.
Yes.
I got a
Yeah.
partner up on the Cape that now, I guess in their third year of this, is going around the houses helping to help them with their personal garden.
Yep.
And he's thriving. He's got more clients than he can do. I think the next level of this is how to help home farmers and growers refine their stuff
Mhm,
so it's not just flour,
mhm.
Right. Where you
do some
rebuild
other
like a
stuff.
mom and pop
Yeah,
oils and
in-
stuff like
In New York, can you have,
trading each other. Yeah.
Can you grow-
Seeds, yeah.
in New York, can you grow your own? So this is not
6
as,
plants per house in Massachusetts, right?
but in New York, you can't have it. I know in Delaware, you
Not
can't grow
illegal.
your own either. Yeah,
Well,
I
aren't there
know.
dispensaries in Delaware though?
Yeah, but that's my point. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's what's
matter if
different,
people
though.
can't
Yeah,
afford
that
it.
right.
You know,
People
if
can't
they,
afford what, the dispensary?
yeah, you can't afford to, I mean, that's what I was just talking about, the whole like Medicaid not, it's
Right.
cheaper for me to buy insurance.
Can I walk into a dispensary and buy something?
No. Oh, it's a medical dispensary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
I walk
that's
in there and
cool.
buy something?
No,
No,
unless you have a
an
Delaware
ailment
card
and you live in Delaware
and you have a card.
and you have a, particular issue.
But what I'm saying is that this is what's so bothersome about this policy, that
Mhm.
people are saying, oh, it's about safety. No, it's not. This is about access to
Of
care.
course.
And we've talked so much about
Absolutely.
how we need to make sure this revolution is based on, and I'm talking about the cannabis revolution,
Yep.
about really kind of addressing these issues, because I really think, and as a clinical social worker, my ethics guide me to take care and to advocate for people who don't have power. Poor people can't afford what is in a
course.
dispensary a lot of the
course.
times. And
And-
they're having to make choices.
Of course.
And this is just something that
And
I
in
find abhorrent.
Prohibition, the poorest, they did not want the poorest of folks to be the face of the newly legalized alcohol, because they were saying the poorest of folks mean they are the most likely to be
To-
criminals,
Right.
supposedly. In actuality, we know
Right.
that to be different, and the usage has nothing to do with your
Right.
economic status, whether
Right.
you're rich or poor,
Right.
you can
Right.
gonna drink. But that's what's gonna happen
Yeah.
now, unless some folks made it.
Well,
And
that's-
it's also about the companies, because companies are actually hiring lobbyists to lobby against allowing home
Right.
cultivation. That's actually what happened in New Jersey and in New York, is that you had companies who operate in other states coming and say, don't let people grow cannabis.
Yeah.
It'll cut into our bottom line, it'll
Uh-huh.
all these other things.
And the people who are getting hurt are the people who who are on the fringe of our society that we're not taking care of, that who can't afford this very expensive medicine.
Mhm.
And so I think that we really, as a culture, and maybe we can talk more about the economics behind cannabis here, is for us to really kind of use this platform to bring up some of these issues, because that's not fair.
Nope.
And
And-
that, to me, that's not what this medicine's about.
Right.
It's about.
Well, this is what they want to do. They want to find out, how the hell can we make money off this? Because it's obvious that the country wants it. How do we get our cut? That's what they're looking at.
Well, okay, and I'm going to say that I would like to make some money out of this, out of all the
Damn
hard
right.
work, and I don't feel guilty about it, but I think I have an ethical responsibility,
Which is the kid.
and that's what I think that we're missing, is that you can make money but still have an ethical responsibility to help others.
There is
And-
no ethical
Right.
responsibility in capitalism.
Okay, so we have
No,
two
I
left
hear ya.
before we go to the
I hear ya.
callers.
I hear
They don't
ya.
care. Please.
Right.
All right, so our next research finding, I want you guys to tell me, to Cannabis this, is this a real research finding or is this fiction? Researchers have found a correlation between marijuana use and the posting of regrettable content on social media. Authors concluded that cannabis users engage in moments of, quote, moments of reconsideration after posting comments and stories of social media, often removing or editing them. However, non-cannabis users demonstrate psychopathic tendencies, posting numerous questionable and controversial materials and comments without any reconsideration, concluding that cannabis use is associated with less trolling and less psychotic type behavior on social media. Is this a true research finding?
God, that
Or
was
is this
100%.
does cannabis, is it a factor for whether or not you'll be a troll and be crazy on social media, maybe trim your cannabis bonsai tree on social media a little
100%.
bit? Or is this just, again, a wishful thinking research project?
Stoned, when you're stoned, you naturally contemplate and second thought and guess and go back
See,
over.
I usually
and-
regret everything after alcohol.
But I think alcohol will make you, or if you're straight, you'll post something without consideration, especially because you're guided by a particular emotion of the time. When you're stoned, you typically tend to analyze and question and second thought.
Take every quote that people
every-
post on, so you're like, is that about me?
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know,
But we all know it's
Right.
about me.
right, exactly. Like,
Oh,
So it seems reasonable,
right,
right?
at least like.
Yeah. Greer, Jan, comments? Are researchers studying cannabis use and social media? Is this a finding, or is it a fiction? Is this something that I'm going to have to later go back and edit and delete, or is this a post?
no,
that's
because
saying
usually I say it's false.
Yeah. I'm getting that same boat. I can say that's bullshit.
I wish this was a real study, but it is not.
God.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
You always get me on these
Yeah.
last one. He paints a logical path to
I
shit.
know. He does.
He
I
gets me
love
on that Spock shit. I just the fucking Vulcan in me, dude, just makes me.
Yeah.
Looking at you. Oh my
I gotta
god.
go to logical path.
Well, you know, and it comes from a real source, right? Like read
Like
things
that,
in
right?
media.
Isn't that what he
Live
did?
long and prosper.
Yeah.
Long and fun.
So yeah, obviously it comes from some real world experience where I'm just reading things on social media. I'm like, these people need to take a break.
Uh-oh, were you
Seriously.
saying that last night?
No, this is something I say every day when I'm looking at my feeds.
Well, I did text you something I thought was funny last night. But
Brilliant idea. Don't bring that
So,
up.
well,
oh,
people-
but I need to tell Greer the
Oh,
other
yeah,
one.
yeah.
people need to know about it. We're making hemp surfboards and CBD wax for surfboards.
I like it.
It calms the sea.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It
Keep
helps
your feet
relax
right.
it.
Huh? Yeah.
It helps you relax the sea. You become one with the sea.
I
You
like it.
merge.
That's brilliant.
No, you know we're bullshitting.
I know, but it's a great idea. Like,
See?
why not?
The last time I made up an idea at a party, I was talking to a manufacturer, and I said, you know what would be great is some CBD mustache wax, you know, the like hipsters and stuff. He's like, well, we could release that tomorrow, and he starts like taking notes.
on
And I was
this
like, great,
shit.
now I need another fake project to talk about.
I gotta face me, jacking that shit.
I know. I would have
Right in
let
my
him
face.
leave unless he
Nice.
signed something giving
Yeah.
you equity.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a difference.
I didn't take any business classes, so.
I didn't either.
See, and he's not ethical enough to make that thing go boom and be like, hey man, remember that idea you gave me? They go have your shit.
Oh,
Right.
There's an ethics that they don't have.
They
So
don't
yeah.
have.
that guy will run with this. And,
he ran with it.
Well, we're running with ours.
Damn
And
right.
we're doing it
We're gonna
ethically.
do some running too.
Yep.
So our last story
Uh-oh.
is either finding or fiction. Is about a topic we talked about before, which is about the patenting of cannabis varieties, the genetics. So one of the groups out there, the Open Cannabis Project, a nonprofit aimed to protect the cannabis genome from patent trolls. This again, they publish the cannabis genome, and then it becomes freely available public domain. People can't patent those varieties. Anyone can grow them, use them, and develop them. Is it true that they are dissolving and have dissolved effective May 6th in response to intense backlash against its former business partner, Phylos Bioscience? So Phylos is this big ag tech company which put up a website allowing people to submit their cannabis genome for the project. They turned around and launched an intense breeding program. Open Cannabis Project said that isn't right. We're going to make these varieties available for people. They shouldn't just be used for patenting, developing of IP. So is it true that the Open Cannabis Project, with a short lifespan, said that it is disbanding and dissolving due to conflicts of interest over their former business partner? Ethics. Is this company, is this
Being ethical.
nonprofit taking an ethical stand and formally dissolving?
that sounds like I wish that was true. I wish that was true. But
Well, why are they? If they do it, I mean, it's not going to stop what's happening with.
well, I mean, this which brings us back to that word of ethics, like, you know.
But it stops the mechanism.
Yeah,
Making it-
like exactly, because like, which I understand, because that's business. Like that means patent this and I get all the money. Like, no, if you want this, you have to buy it from me. Like, you know what I mean? As opposed
Damn
to
right.
putting it. All right.
That's
I
it.
want-
We came up with.
Right.
I
with,
know. I have to tell
That's
you.
my goddamn old
Okay,
formula.
I have
damn
to
it.
tell you all.
That's
You
right.
know what, Greer? I used to agree with that point of view.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna, I've always seen myself as a socialist, but I am a small business owner. And over the years, I know how much more I worked than anybody else and how no one took the risks I did. And I bear the burden for everything I did.
Right.
And I have gotten to a point where I'm just like, you know what? I deserve to make
Damn
more
right.
than, not everyone does the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of, I used to say that capitalism, you couldn't have, ethics and capitalism, but I think we need, I don't know what the answer is. All I know
You
is
can
that,
have ethics and
but
capitalism.
Well,
I'm
here-
trying my best to.
Like, it's no reason
you know?
why, like, anybody's insulin should
Yeah.
be
Should
out
be
of their
that
range
way.
of paying for it.
Right,
Like, it's
right.
there. The money, like,
Right.
Well, all right. So you and micro that have that factor, which is
Yeah.
exactly true. We don't want
Yeah,
people
we
to
don't
be
want
omitted, not be able to heal
No.
themselves because
Right.
of
Absolutely.
because
at
they
the
don't have
same-
the finances.
right. But at the same time, we want to set up systems where people who put the sweat in
Get rewarded.
get that out. And
Yeah.
we know personally
Okay.
because we belong to an organization where we've been on the front line, but we have people who walk behind us who claim the same name
Right,
and
right.
haven't put in the same work
Bingo.
or sweat equity, but they're quick to claim the same name
Yeah.
of organization we're in group.
Yep.
So fine.
It's weird. I don't know. I don't know if it's
Right.
getting older or what, but I just really find myself evolving on this. And that's why, like, I keep bringing it back today, but that's why I think we need to be having these kinds of conversations. We don't have to think that it's either this way or that way. How do we make this as much equitable as we can?
Yep.
And help people. So that's what we're trying to do.
So it seems like you guys think it would be great if the Open Cannabis Project
Oh, yeah.
did dissolve because its former business partner said, hey, we're taking this genomic data that you all thought wouldn't be used to enhance the breeding program, and we're going to do that. And so they're not that.
That makes me sad for them, though, if they had a former partner who's just a dickhead.
Well,
You know?
unfortunately and unfortunately, this
It's
is a
probably
true
true, yeah.
story.
Good
The
for
Open
them.
Cannabis Project will formally dissolve at the end of May. Its
Oh.
last project will be to help farmers develop better license agreements, understand the rules around patents, interstate commerce, and the growing and selling of. So their last gasp. But again, they feel the spokesperson said that we feel we have been deceived. As a result, no matter what we do as an organization going forward, Open Cannabis Project will never escape this deception. So
You know what? Maybe we could ask them to come on and call in and we could talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Because I
Good
think that would
combo.
be something
Mhm.
really, well, you can't do it when I'm away next week. I'm sorry. I'm just
Well, it's going to
putting
take
it-
a couple weeks to sit down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we
But
need
if
to have
we
a
can
couple
do that,
people chime in too while they
because
want.
I
That'd be
would
great.
like, that is fantastic. I mean, it's disturbing,
right.
but it's a fantastic story that
And
I
it
think we
was
get some
so
insight.
weird as we talked about 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
we talked about
And
these
we
guys.
were like, this is a way to preserve some of these varieties, especially like, Vice or the guy, they were looking for these rare varieties of
Yeah.
cannabis, and they found like these land race varieties where it's like cultures, they're isolated, don't have a lot of trade, separated by war and other economic conflict. Have cannabis farmers there, they've been producing it, unique varieties. People come in, take the plants, and patent it. And so by engaging in some of these isolated communities, saying, get it tested for your DNA, upload it to the site,
Protect
it's
your
protected.
legacy.
and then other people can use it if they happen to have it. But
See,
again, it
that's
doesn't.
what I mean. Go there, take that plant, I patent it. Now I got it. It's mine. It belongs to the place.
Despite it being developed for thousands.
Yeah,
of years.
Thousands.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You need it, dude. It's like, what do you want? Air's next? Water's next? Like,
This is my patented water.
yeah, this is my special Trump air.
Right.
Smells like
Right.
shit.
Ah,
I'm
sorry.
You want to end the meeting quick? Pop up a can of Trump air.
smells like shit.
Make your dentures pop out.
No collusion.
Did you see that clip? I thought it was
Colluded. Sent.
like, I just thought it was his dentures
Wait,
popping
did
out.
they
It
really
was.
pop out?
Something was happening.
Something scary happened.
Something was happening.
When
I
was
thought it was
that?
like aliens.
Ah!
Jaws were about to
I was like,
Is it about to open?
Yeah, dude. I was
Looks like
like,
an apple.
the lizard's coming out.
yeah. had to grab that skin like
Exactly.
pull it on.
Zip.
Okay,
So-
I obviously, I don't know where I've been. I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, so we have a caller or two that ready to come in or call into the phone. How do you want to do this? They can call into your phone if you'd like,
Well-
and we can plug it in. Or
Little hands.
Is my
Little
guy.
Trump hand.
oh,
I know, we're watching
oh,
the video.
he's MIA.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, do you have the backup caller?
No,
Or are
Ah,
they MIA?
shit. No,
Do we wait too long?
we waited
no,
too
no.
long.
I'm not calling
Hey,
you.
we're
So-
Right.
yeah.
Well, we did have a listener who had a good question about vape pens, about using them in a movie theater. Yeah, so.
It was a great question.
Should we go through it? We
Might
Yeah.
as well. I
why
think
not?
other people and
Could
also the
benefit from
etiquette issue you brought up first because you knew him did.
So what was the
Yeah.
question, Randy?
So the question was, he was in a movie theater and had his vape pen, and somebody asked him to refrain,
Yeah.
and he was
It's fucking
questioning.
obnoxious. You see the size of those clouds that come out? It's
Right.
like, why? What,
Why?
like, seriously, dude?
Right. You just sat in your car and vaped 20 minutes before you
Jesus.
walked in, and then, but his technical question was, in what circumference of people around him can potentially get a contact from if they
Well, first
can?
of all, was it flavor bullshit or was it something that to actually give you a buzz? That's the
I mean,
point.
yeah, was it like pure oil?
Yeah.
Or was it, well,
You know the
And from my medical studies, when you inhale oils
Yes, doctor.
and then exhale, all the oils that you inhale, the inside of you, so nobody can get a contact
from your
or
breath.
from your breath. They get hair
Nauseous.
singes, like nose hair singe. Bro, I mean, can people? I don't
Preach, right?
know.
That's
Can you-
nice.
I have I ever even gotten a contact? I never.
From
What?
vape.
Well, we talked about hot
Oh,
pockets.
even-
It's different.
Not with vaping though.
Yeah.
So
Some
that's-
vapors, like, I'm like,
I
well,
want
it
Yeah.
depends. But I think there is a chance that maybe in a mobile 5-10 foot radius around him, people might. But the
microphone.
theater has really good air conditioning. And no
Sure,
matter
yeah.
what temperatures outside, you have to wear a sweater in there. They're
Right.
cycling the air out. So if he was like at the drive-in in the car hitting the vape pen and hotboxing, that's a different story. But I think with the ventilation there, I mean, the worst is, maybe some might get on the clothes, maybe very little would be inhaled, but nothing, I think, that could
Yeah.
result in a contact.
Yeah,
harm.
well,
Yeah, do that shit at home.
But it's still
if you,
annoying.
know.
It's like
It's annoying.
it's like if
Yeah.
you're like
don't
Yeah.
subject other people. to
Yeah,
this shit.
don't do that shit.
like eating an egg salad sandwich
In the theater,
Ew.
right?
Yeah.
I opened up a can of tuna fish.
That's
Yeah,
what Donald
yeah.
Trump should have to do. Egg sandwiches.
Exactly. While you do your 17 years.
Oh.
Well, we have
Anywho.
one segment left, and that's the Mind Munchies. Of course, you guys can talk about whatever you want. But I want to start off the Mind Munchies real quick and just say, I keep getting this question, what is a hemp nut? And I wanted to say that, because they're like, they're hemp seeds, they're not nuts. Like, what are you talking
Oh,
about?
Well,
my
that's because,
God.
well,
That's
And-
someone who takes like
in Central Africa, in a small town called Nkwazi, they have a
Can you say it
Mpaga
without
tree, and on the Mpaga tree is the hemp nut.
The
Look
hemp
it up.
nut.
Nice. Well, I use the
I didn't
word
know that.
to describe a passion.
I just made that up.
Well, I
This
know
dude's really
that.
like, I didn't know that.
That's probably their search term, strange plants, and they're like,
Right.
stuff. But I use it to describe passion for a plant.
That's
right?
what I thought it was.
Yeah.
This particular
Yeah.
plant. That's
Right,
the hemp
nuts.
plant.
Right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
use hemp and cannabis to explore your world, understand stuff, because hemp, cannabis, it crosses everything. Politics, science, religion,
You
culture,
know,
every discipline,
maybe
really.
that should be our next word of the day.
I thought it was the
Hemp nut?
yeah. Remember we used to
Can we get this in Urban
the nuts on
Dictionary?
the male plant.
Oh,
Oh, the hemp nut.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
what-
testes
what-
of the.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God.
John would like that.
Ray, imagine the stalk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Little gnat.
all it
Yeah.
takes is
Yeah.
a stiff wind for those sacks
The-
to burst
the
over.
part.
Boom.
Exactly. Like a
Busting all over.
12-year-old
everywhere.
Get all over you and everything.
Yeah.
stiff wind and
And then it falls asleep after.
yeah.
Actually, it dies.
Nice.
It's like I just falls
Yeah.
over. That's it.
Falls over. Yeah.
That's why they use it for fiber. It's like, oh well, you know, it's easy to harvest.
Oh, it's a good life.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that. I never thought it was anything other than we're just that shit
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
You know?
About the hemp.
Oh.
We will have a hemp nuts professional team.
Well, we're gonna have a hemp nut snack too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
With
Trademark.
sriracha.
Trademark.
Sriracha.
Trademark him.
Yeah.
Hemp nut snacks, baby. Get your hemp nuts. I don't do nothing without my nuts.
Oh, we are cracking ourselves.
Let's put them in my hair.
Just wrap your lips around.
Oh, okay, hon.
A mouthful of nuts.
So I was just saying we have an adult rating on iTunes, so
Yeah.
it's
Do we
okay.
have an adult
Yeah.
rating?
We're adults.
Yeah.
Rated adult.
Oh my god. So do you have anything?
Any
Um,
little something to think
Little-
about. Little mind munchie.
mine munchy there. And stripers are almost up to Cape Cod. If anybody
Nice. Go on.
telling you,
Do you
man.
have a boat?
I don't have a boat, but I got a map of all the beaches, and we can walk around
Yeah.
real slow with our goodies and we'll
Yeah.
have some bass.
I'm up for it. I'm up
Got
for it.
it.
I haven't
Awesome.
been fishing in forever.
Oh, is this
My
like
dad
a-
used to take me all the time as a kid, and used to go crabbing and
My
just,
two-
I
I was
grew
about
up on
to
the
say
Gulf
that.
You do
Coast, so
crab as well?
Mhm.
floundering
Yep.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
I love shit. And
I know that you was
shrimping.
in that sketch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's always fishing, I think. I forget.
I think
everything
you know,
sketch we ever
I
do
would-
had you scared fishing
I
and
would like
crabbing.
to see if there's a fly fishing like TV jam show that one day we could have them on.
Well, they did a remake of
They did?
in
Oh, okay.
Norway.
Oh, okay. Ah,
Okay.
gotta see that one. Anyway, I will give you something to go on. So things, we don't know how things happen in our lives. Sometimes something simple turns out to be something really big. Uh-oh. And I just want to say that I am so glad I chose to do homework at the Olive Tree one night because I met you, I worked with you, and because of him, I met you. And so the three of you were actually part of my presentation and kind of what we're doing. And Brooklyn Sprout was part of it. And you never know how something so stupid and simple like, oh my God, I gotta go get a beer and do some work, can change your life.
Is God.
Isn't that weird? And so I just want to thank the three of you as my friends, my compadres, for just,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you.
just being who you all are. And thank you all. And thank you for listening.
We get
Yep.
I
Yeah.
know we are getting
Yeah.
well, that's
That's
something
No,
that I
great.
think.
Yeah, you know,
You know, we all are impacted.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes! The two Dr. James.
Damn
Sorry.
right. I
Dr.
said you
Jan
had
and
me in
his
the
Dr.
car. I'm trying to like keep tears from rolling down, listening to damn shit. The ticket cat's coming down and playing the shit off and everything
I
like
know.
that. It's
I
like,
did it on
was-
Facebook
I was
Live
heavy,
for
man.
my family to see it
Heavy.
because my mom, you know, she got married when she was 17. She never finished high school, you know, and I'm the youngest of three, and she wound up, by the time I was older, she had gone through some things that she decided she was going to get her GED, and she had her own business, and she really taught me to look at life a certain way. And so for me, it was it was kind of one of those moments where you
Right.
really take stock in the people that you love and that we can build each other up. And I think we're all doing something special.
God bless you.
And that. I'm getting verklempt. Mind munchies. What? Did I just depress you all or
No,
something?
no.
And that's
It's a
and
tough
end it
act to
on that
follow.
note. You can't follow that. You just drop the mic on the motherfucker right there. The doctor.
Fuck you all.
Bang.
Yeah.
Out.
Boy, I think the Doc Joint's really changed you.
He's a Jedi now. Got the force up in
I do feel like the force is with you.
Yes,
right
with you.
now.
Over cup. Right. Keep that lightsaber under control.
I don't know.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to plug or mention before we sign off? Anything else going on? I know, Jan, you're going to be traveling next
Yep.
week, so
Yep.
Dan Grassroots Goldman from Marijuana Today will be filling in. We'll try not to talk about anything too cool or exciting.
I might even call in.
Oh, that's what we should do. Yeah.
Hopefully,
Gotcha.
I'll be having a cocktail
Yeah,
on the
in
beach
rare form.
and smoking a well.
In
you know.
character.
Yeah.
you might
Yeah,
have a thought,
Dr. Weed Lady
Yeah.
will be there. Do you guys like my new Instagram?
And we also have to try to, like, you have to film yourself, and like, we got to
Exactly.
say, like, so we
Oh, that's how you
Miles
do
can
it.
do it.
out there can see it, like,
Miles can figure this out.
so
Yeah, that's how we do that.
Y'all are cute. I
That's
can
great.
You
do
gotta do that.
ha.
Beach chair.
Yeah, beach chair.
Camera.
I'll have my hat on and just
Yep.
yeah. Anywho.
All right.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for Beach Vision.
That's how we do it.
Dr. Jan Roberts,
Doctor,
to you.
yeah.
Sorry, doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctors.
All right. Well,
All right.
guys, this was fun this
Nice.
week. I missed you all, and so glad. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. But I'm sure the show will be great.
And we'll see all of you on internet land next week.
Adios, amigos.
Say,
Bye.
Light off.
Oh my God, y'all are